already been approved. So ito po yung routine preventive oral care. So ang ibig sabihin po nito, libre na ang pagpapalinis ng ngipin, tsaka magkakaroon din ng fluoride application, tsaka sealants sa mga accredited consulta providers. So napakahalaga nito lalo na sa mga children with disabilities, learners with disabilities, dahil preventable naman talaga ang pagkasira ng ipin. And sad to say, Philippines has one of the highest caries prevalence in the world. So kung ma-avail na mga bata at lahat ng matatanda ang itong routine preventive care, may iwasan na ho yung pagkasira ng ipin from the first 1,000 days up to the last 1,000 days. Kaya sinasabi, siguro appeal ko na rin sa Department of Education kasi may mga dental clinics po kayo. So maganda sana na maipa-credit ito sa PhilHealth para yung mga dentista, gagamitin ho nila itong mga serbisyo, iikot na ho ang pera para ma-serve nila ng mabuti ang mga learners with disabilities at ma-prevent na yung kanilang pagkasira ng ipin dahil ang ngipin ho or oral health is very essential to good nutrition and overall health.
Thank you to DOH. I have a basic question. In the law, the responsibilities of DOH to provide learners with disabilities with healthcare needs, services such as child mental health services, health plans, oral health care, and family-to-family health information and education. How do you plan to bring this down, to our schools? Because how do you roll this out to our schools? Because like I said, the vision here is to have 1,600 plus ILRCs. On top of that, earlier the DepEd mentioned that some of our schools also have special needs classrooms. So how do you reach our learners with disabilities on the ground? Because we're talking about 300 plus thousand. No? How do you provide them with all of these health services? It's good that we have the services. I'm very happy to hear that the DOH have these programs and services just like the SWD. But the battleground kasi is to the learner on the ground. So how do you reach them?
Sir, kasi nagkaroon po kami ng yung joint joint administrative order, ang DILG, ang DepEd at saka ang DOH para ma-harmonize po yung pag-deliver ng serbisyo. So importante rin po kasi lalo na sa LGU level, we have the policies but actually the implementation, like yung ita-track down kung sino yung mga learners with disabilities. We need to coordinate with the Department of Education and also the LGU, yung master listing. Sir, kasi all of these services are available naman eh. And may services talaga kaming plano, like yung sa mental health, yung heads, and then may iron and folic acid supplementation, may immunization, HPV, pati yung measles, rubella. Kaya lang, we need to harmonize our efforts para talagang ma-deliver sila sa mga learners with disabilities.
And in addition, sir, we have the regional offices ng DOH that also connecting directly to the local government unit. So as mentioned by Dr. Noel, we're working together from the national, from our regional to local, sir, for the implementation of our programs, especially as we mentioned for the benefits po the children with disabilities or learners with disabilities po.
That's the whole reason why we created that interagency coordinating council, is to really harmonize the program and also the delivery. I want to emphasize on the delivery because the programs are good in paper, but if you don't deliver that to our learners with disabilities, they'll kalat sila eh. They're all over the country. It's sayang lang, no? Because they're not taking advantage of those programs. These are very good programs. It's just the delivery will be the challenge, and that's why we created in the law the interagency coordinating council, so that all of these programs, DepEd will be abreast, and DepEd can mobilize kasi they have the machinery. DepEd is, they have 47,000 schools, they have teachers. They can bring down the programs to the school level, no, all the way to the school level. No? So that's why I'm happy to hear, no, there are programs. Once the interagency council has been created, please, whether you're focal person or whoever you assign, please be active with that interagency council. All right. Next will be DOLE, the Department of Labor.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. So, in behalf of the Department of Labor and Employment, particularly for us, the Bureau of Local Employment, we would like to express our full support to the implementation of RA 11650, which safeguards the recognition, protection, and promotion of all learners with disabilities, whether in school or out of school, to education based on equal opportunity. Further, it aims to provide learners with disabilities with additional resources to support their holistic education needs. So we prepared some comments or inputs as to the implementing rules and regulations, which I would like to reiterate in this particular meeting, particularly on Section 8.7, the functions of Inclusive Learning Resource Center of Learners with Disabilities, or the ILRCs. We would like to express our support to the development of an interagency referral system for the provision and access to livelihood and employment in coordination with the concerned agencies, particularly TESDA and PESO. We note that the state puts emphasis and importance on the governance of services of different government agencies for the benefit and easier access of its citizens. Thus, its establishment is in line with the particular goal of the state and is vital for the effective and efficient delivery of services towards learners with disabilities. So in relation to this, the Bureau of Local Employment, or the Department of Labor and Employment, recommends that the DOLE be specifically included in the interagency referral system to be established by the DepEd, since the DOLE is the labor and employment arm of the government that caters to the needs of the Filipino workforce. May we also further note that the department, through the Bureau of Local Employment, has various programs that are targeted to increase employability, including that of the youth, such as first the Career Development Support Program, which intends to provide career development support services to individuals in addressing gaps in employability dimensions. So a few examples would be interventions on identifying personal and environmental factors of students and job seekers, job objectives, skills and requirements to perform the job, job search skills, and the ability to maintain a job. So those are just a few of the items or the topics that we provide through the Career Development Support Program. It aims to assist individuals to find the right job, identify appropriate upskilling or reskilling interventions, and progress in their chosen career path. So the CDSP is currently being implemented at the national and local levels through the CDSP Technical Working Group composed of the DOLE, also the Department of Education, the TESDA, the Department of Science and Technology, or the DOST, the CHED Unified Financial Assistance for Tertiary Education, or the UNIFAST, the Professional Regulation Commission as well, in partnership with the Federation of Career Guidance Advocates Network, or the FCGANP, and also, of course, with the PESO Managers Association of the Philippines Incorporated. Another program that perhaps would be of value to this particular implementation of RA 11650 would be the Special Program for the Employment of Students, or the SPES, which is a youth employability program that aims to provide short-term employment to poor but deserving students or out-of-school youth and dependents of displaced or would-be displaced workers. So this program helps in augmenting the family's income and ensuring that beneficiaries are able to pursue their education. Another program, a good program, would be the Government Internship Program. This is a youth employability program which aims to provide a 3 to 6 months internship opportunity in the government for high school students, technical, vocational, or college graduates to build their capacities and make them more employable. Further, we have the Job Start Philippines program. This is also a youth employability program which shortens the school-to-work transition by providing at-risk youth not in employment, education, or training with career coaching, life skills, and technical training, and internships with employers. Partnering with the private sector, the Job Start Philippines program helps employers meet their workforce needs with well-prepared, talented, and enthusiastic young men and women. Finally, we also have the assistance to first-time job seekers, which aims to empower Filipinos actively seeking employment for the first time. So the fees of common and pre-employment documents issued by some government or appropriate government agencies are waived to help first-time job seekers to land a job more easily. Thus, the inclusion, aside from TESDA and PESO, will be vital in the effective delivery of services towards learners with disabilities, particularly relating to their access to employment and work opportunities later on. Thus, the department, through the Bureau of Local Employment, would like to recommend the provision of 8.7, Section 8.7, to read as follows. DepEd shall also develop an interagency referral system from ECCD to basic education, mental health, and psychosocial support, and livelihood or employment in coordination with the DOH, the DSWD, the DOLE, TESDA, and of course the Public Employment Service Offices, which are our partners in providing the department's programs at the grassroots level. Also, we have some recommendations on Section 20, particularly on learner assistance. The department likewise supports the inclusion of the department together with other government agencies and local government units in the development of programs to support the financial, educational, and accessibility needs of all learners with disabilities, particularly the economically disadvantaged learners with disabilities. May we kindly note that, as mentioned above, the department has youth employability programs that may be accessed by learners. With this inclusion, the department will be able to advance the interest of learners with disabilities, particularly through the crafting of programs tailored fit and responsive to their needs, especially relating to their employability. Next, we also have comments on the Section 25E, a responsibility of government agencies, particularly the DOLE. We recognize the intent of the proponent of this act in giving the department the role, together with DepEd, to develop the training programs for learners with disabilities, transition from school to work, and provide to the ILRC current market analysis and job coaching sessions before and during their employment. Moreover, we also support the role of DOLE, TESDA, and the PESO in the facilitation of job placements. On that note, may we kindly express that these particular rules align with the key outcomes of the Philippine Development Plan, or the PDP 2023 to 2028. Likewise, it complements with the Philippine Labor and Employment Plan 2023 to 2028, particularly in increasing their employability and expanding their access to employment and work opportunities through the provision of training programs tailored fit for their needs. So in relation to this, the department, through the Bureau of Local Employment, has the Career Development Support Program, which consists of a menu of services provided to individuals which address gaps in their employability, dimensions aimed at assisting them to find the right job, identify appropriate skills, upskilling or reskilling interventions, and progress in their chosen career path. So in our view, the CDSP may be utilized for the training program for learners with disabilities by conforming and aligning it to the latter's specific needs, of course with the assistance of the professionals from the Department of Education. Finally, moreover, we kindly note that the department also has a platform that can be utilized by students or learners in exploring job opportunities. This is the PhilJobNet and the PESO Employment Information System. So the PhilJobNet is the government's official job and applicant matching system, which aims to fast-track job seekers' search for jobs and employers' unlimited and free-of-charge search for workforce requirements. The system is also a source of timely, relevant, and readily accessible labor market information for informed career decisions. So in relation to this, we recommend that the DepEd streamline the registration of the students or learners to the said platform. So this would be a recommendation for collaboration, Your Honor. That's it for the Department of Labor and Employment, sir.
Thank you. Thank you to Dole. There's a specific responsibility in the law given to Dole. Dole shall coordinate with DepEd in developing a training program for the learners with disabilities transition from school to work. Have we developed that program already? Because this is the context of this is we have a lot of senior high school students who are learners with disabilities, and of course the direction of the law is to help them become independent after going to basic education. to if we need to induce training, whether it's basic training or much more complex, so that they can be gainfully employed, then we assign that to DOLE. Have we coordinated with DepEd regarding this type of training?
Yes, sir. Actually, aside from the youth employability programs that I mentioned, such as experiential programs like the government internship program, we have currently rolled out the career development support program to our regional representatives so that they can cascade the learnings to the PESOs, or the Public Employment Service offices, who would have much more access to these learners. So for the career development support program, this is an intervention which pertains to career counseling, vocational counseling, and employment counseling. So this is an all-inclusive program. So basically, those learners that we have for learners with special needs would be able to access this through the PESO. And of course, the job placement offices as well that are established on some of our educational institutions here in the country, sir.
Do you have specific programs for learners with disability, specific training programs for the transition from school to work? There's a specific program for that. For example, yung mga na-envision ko dyan is, for example, basic housekeeping, basic restaurant skills, this type of trainings. Do you have that for learners with disabilities?
Yes, sir. Actually, I would have to confirm with the Bureau of Workers with Special Concerns on this because they are much more, sabihin na natin, much more the expert in terms of providing services with for workers with special needs. But I do think that we have certain interventions for persons with disabilities at the department. As to the details or the complete details lang po, sir, maybe we can provide them through the Bureau of Workers with Special Concerns.
Okay, just provide the committee. And again, let me remind that DOLE is part of that agency council, and the task is very specific, no, to prepare our learners with disabilities from school to work.
Yes, sir.
That is the goal. So education is not the end goal, but the end goal here is to be gainfully employed after basic education.
Yes,
no?
sir.
Just like in our senior high schools, no? That's why we added 2 years in our senior high school, is for them to be employed or to become entrepreneurs. No? So that's very specific in the law. Just prepare yourself, and again, if you have anyone assigned to this particular law, please inform them that we're pushing for the interagency council to convene already. Yeah, go ahead, Director Ariola.
Yeah. Mr. Chair, in support to that, we actually have the transition program, and one of which is the development of technical vocational skills of some of our learners so are educable and trainable. So I think you can actually work with us on
Recognize
this.
the presence of Senator Bato de la Rosa. Morning, sir. Any opening statement, sir? Okay, go ahead, ma'am.
So good morning, sir. And may I please continue? So we suggest, Mr. Chair, that whatever plans they have, particularly for DOLE, have those be included in the multi-year roadmap so that we can work together and we can have that documented already. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
Implement,
Thank you po.
Yeah, go ahead, Asek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Senator Bato de la Rosa. Yes, to supplement what Direk Ariola had mentioned, for one, we have this transition curriculum, and as mentioned by her earlier, we already have a draft. BLD had already prepared a draft policy for the implementation of the transition curriculum. But we are very happy to hear from our friends from DOLE as regards their partnership with our field offices, in particular, or schools, in in addressing this provision of the law. So yung ano po namin is, sige po, habang ginagawa po namin yung draft policy ng delivery ng transition curriculum, we will engage Mr. Chair Dole to enhance our delivery. That's for one. And the other one po is, as we are on the process of streamlining and enhancing our senior high school curriculum, and one area there is the the provision of the work immersion dun sa senior high schools po natin, and taking that lead in our department is our BCD o IC Director, Direct Neil. So we'll address po we'll engage Dolly po for the work immersion of our learners with disabilities na magre-graduate na po for us to address this provision of the law po. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to any comment, Mr. Chester? Were you raising your hands earlier?
No, sir. Actually, yes. Thank you so much for expressing your support as well, ma'am. Our representatives from the DepEd. We will work closely together with them to fully realize the contents of this provision po. Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Testa is not here with us, but I was going to say that if we can, as part of their maybe livelihood training or tech voc training, kung matatrain natin yung mga learners with disabilities natin maggupit ng buhok. Volunteer ko na si Senator Bato, no? Para maunang maging customer. No? Madali lang naman gupitin to dahil walang gugupitan eh. No? Shave lang. All right. Connected to this, in the law is the role of ECCD. Ma'am Insyong, Dr. Insyong, any comments to the implementation of the inclusive education law and also the role of ECCD?
Yes. Thank you, Your Honor, Senator Win. And good morning, Senator De La Rosa. The Early Childhood Care and Development Council, by virtue of the 10-410 or Early Years Act, through its declaration of policy, shall promote the rights of children to survival, development, and special protection with full recognition of the nature of childhood, as well as the need to provide developmentally appropriate experiences to address their needs and support parents and their role as primary caregivers and as their children's first teacher. Further, it shall promote the inclusion of children with special needs, provide for reasonable accommodation and accessible environment for children with disabilities, and advocate respect for cultural and linguistic diversity. In recognition of the children ages 3 to 4 in the Child Development Center, formerly known as daycare centers, approximately only 0.1% of those enrolled are children with disabilities. In addition, the disability is also one of the reasons why children were not attending schools. With the enactment of Republic Act 11650 or the Inclusive Education Act, a policy is instituted in school including early learning program which through the CDCs. This shall ensure that children with disabilities will be provided with needed support and receive the benefits of early childhood education. We believe the ECCD Council believes that early identification is early intervention and early inclusion. We are conducting that. The ECCD Council strongly support the implementation of RE 11650, as particular objectives of the law are also in line with the agency objectives too. Section 3, to further develop a system of identification, referral, and intervention for learners with disabilities, and to identify through a child find system learners with disabilities ages 3 to 4, 2024, and infants and toddlers under ages of 3, in compliance with the Republic Act 10410. While we are currently institutionalizing a system for prevention, early identification, referral, and intervention of delays, disorder, and disabilities in early childhood. It's a very long one. In the local government units, the child find system of the Department of Education will be linked together to ensure that early detection, intervention are provided to children with or at risk for disabilities the earliest time possible throughout its transition to kindergarten. In Section 3, Objectives J, to enable the power of teachers by equipping them with capabilities for detection, referral, or introduction to intervention with regard to disorder, disabilities, and abilities of learners. And K, to train and and equip all teachers, including child development teachers and workers, principals, and administrators, and care providers as partners in the care development of education and advancement of learners with disability. The ECCD Council has initiated efforts to provide capacity building activities to the different ECCD stakeholders and its service provider in the LGUs. Included in their training is the early intervention. The conduct of pre-service and in-service training for child development workers and teachers includes topic on inclusion, special needs education as an early intervention. Also, the training of trainers on system for PERIDIC, which is very long, yields positive remarks on the timeliness and relevance to afford inclusion and awareness of understanding on system of processes needed to be established or strengthen the LGUs. On Section 12, the individualized educational IEP, preparation and review, wherein the IEP shall be developed for all children with learners' disabilities. This CCD requires special design and education support. The ECCD Council has developed an individual learning and development plan as a simpler version of the IEP. The ILDP was introduced to the guidebook on managing children with delays, disabilities. We had developed a guidebook in 2021 yet to guide child development workers and teachers and parents in accomplishing it as a counterpart of IEP to provide appropriate intervention based on the result of assessment and recommendation. The establishment of National Child Development Center in all cities and municipalities in countries remain to be a flagship program for the ECCD Council, built to serve as a convergent point in integrated services, laboratory, and resource center. It is also support inclusive learning. That provides support and related services to teaching and learning and assessment of development domains to appropriate intervention and placement. As an active partner of the Development of the Republic Act 11650 multi-roadmap, the ECCD Council strongly support the effective implementation of 11650 through collaboration with DepEd and other relevant government agencies, civil society organizations, and LGUs in ensuring that all children with disabilities access and receive appropriate support for early learning. In addition, Mr. Chair, we would like to inform you that even our infant and toddler, we already accept children with developmental delays. But we are using the checklist, they say the checklist, to be able to determine which of them are delayed, which of them are advanced, which of them are on track. So the parents, all the child development teacher and their supervisor, including our barangay nutrition scholar and barangay health worker, are trained on this referral system.
So I think it's without debate that the earlier we detect
Yes,
the disability of the child,
yes,
the earlier government can give the necessary intervention, the necessary support,
yes,
the better chances the child can cope up with life.
yes. Mr.
So, so it's important that at the ECCD level,
Yes,
we already have a detection mechanism. No?
yes,
One of in the law, one of the mechanisms that we included there is the child fine system. No? But I understand also from the briefing earlier on the implementation that the child fine system has not yet been implemented. We don't need an IRR for that. No? Kasi self-operationalization ng child fine system. It's the funding that is necessary, correct? So how much do we need for the child fine system? Because in the law, it captures also 3 years old. Eh.
yeah, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, go ahead, Dr.
Yeah.
Insyong. And then after...
We already have developed a child fine system in our own. It was sponsored by the UNICEF together with NCDA. We have developed that long time ago, but we included all the other agencies. So we have, Mr. Edwin, you can, Mr. Talyon can further detail.
Yeah. But in the law, DepEd is mandated to create that. So, how much do we need in order to launch a child find system? Because this is meant to conduct early detection, no? Not only to encourage parents to bring their children to school, but also to detect disabilities through manifestation or to diagnosis. So, uh, how much do we need in order to do that child find system?
Mr. Chair, for 2025, for the establishment of a development of a child find system, we included in our wish list 200 million. 201,795,500.
Was that included? That's for nationwide?
Yes, yes po, for the development of the child find system, to include already the production of, to include the system design development, hardware and infrastructure, data integration and security, training and capacity building, maintenance and support, and there's a contingency fund that we included.
Was that included in the? It's a wish list, but was your wish granted? No. My staff who reviews the budget said no. So, well, again, no, it's that's why it's important that the roadmap is promulgated. The roadmap has been issued, because in the roadmap also dictates the budgetary requirements.
Yes,
For
sir.
example, year one, this is how much do you need. Year two, this is how much do you need.
Yes.
So that we can help you. Senator Mbatoy and I can help you in lobbying for additional funds for the child find system and other programs. But we need to be guided. Kasi uso rin sa atin yung shotgun approach. We just throw a number, throw projects, and bahala na which one will be carried. But it has to be programmatic, meaning year one, this is what you need. Year one, the year two, this is what you need, so that we can allocate accordingly. Instead of just one number floated and bahala na if we will be accepted or not. No?
Actually, Mr. Chair, in the draft roadmap that we developed, that forms part already of.
Okay. So that's why, again, we boil down to the original problem, which is the IRR, because that roadmap is not official yet, because the IRR has not yet been officially promulgated.
Yes, Mr. Chair. And it will definitely call, the moment we'll be able to develop the child find system, it will definitely call for partnerships with the LGUs, because we'll be needing a lot for us, we'll be needing a lot of personnel
Yes,
as
correct.
enumerators, because people have to go around and in every corner of the country to look for our learners with
I'll
disabilities.
show you a slide for, just to give the body an idea. Well, slide 2 first. It's good that the enrollment figures has gone up almost pre-pandemic levels, because the pandemic really did a lot of damage to the enrollment in our inclusive education modality or inclusive education program. Can you flash that, Carla? Pre-pandemic level is about 351,000 students. Of course, the pandemic hurt many students, and our learners with disabilities cannot go to school. But I also noticed that there's a slow climb with the enrollment, slow climb of the enrollment of our learners with disabilities. So it took them almost 3 years, almost 4 years actually, to reach close to pre-pandemic levels. So, but with that, I will show you on slide 4, we were estimating how many students should we have versus the universe. And there's no formal number that accounts learners with disabilities, and this might be DOH or the National Council for Disability or PSA. This is something that maybe DOH can look at. But UNICEF estimated about 1.5 million students or 1.5 million children with children who have disabilities. So if you compare our enrollment to the number of children with disabilities, we're only hitting 20%. No? And this is why we need the child find system. No? The child find system is really designed to increase the enrollment of our children with disabilities. No? So that we will not only find them, but encourage our parents to bring them to school. No? So I'd like to urge the DOH, the National Disability Commission, and DepEd later on when you convene that interagency council to have some form of maybe house-to-house survey. No? And that's a child find system actually is designed to do that, to also conduct a house-to-house survey. Correct. Estimate lang to sa UNICEF actually. Even they admitted it's only an estimate. But we need a working number. So we will just use that as a working number. So again, that's why we go back to the importance of the IRR. No? Because the IRR will now give us information on how to help you, the agencies, in funding your necessary projects. No? All right? Yes, Dr.
Yeah.
Inchong.
We have helped in regions, in Region 11, the supervisors there, the Genevieve Gonzalez, so si Tony Prieto, and then another one, ask the ECCD staff to help them implement this referral and prevention in whatever. Maghaba kasi, prevention, early identification, referral, and intervention of delays, disorder, and disability of early childhood education. So in Mako, I was very happy to see that a two-year-old child with Down syndrome is enrolled in the child development centers, and that is very good to see, because the moment that the children are enrolled in our child development centers, they are no longer ostracized when they go to kindergarten.
It's based on my experience when I was a mayor, kasama si Dr. Tess Pangan. The parents, they don't know what government has in terms of programs for learners with disabilities. Number one, they don't know. They have no information what are the programs for their children with disabilities. Number two, where are those programs, meaning accessibility and availability of those programs. And number three, we also have to admit this, some of them are not hopeful, no, that their children will become independent or will have education or will become productive citizens of our country. No? So we really need to be proactive in terms of looking for these children with disabilities and encouraging parents to send their children to school. No? That's why the Child Find system is designed to do that. No? So with that, I'll transition to the National Council on Disability Affairs for their comments, sir.
Good afternoon again, Honorable Chair, Senator Win Gatchalian, and to our Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, and to my colleagues, good afternoon. First off, I would like to read the statement of support of NCDA. The National Council on Disability Affairs wholeheartedly supports the enactment of Republic Act Number 11650, which establishes inclusive learning centers for persons with disabilities across the Philippines. This landmark legislation marks a significant stride toward achieving equal educational opportunities for all, as it reinforces the commitment of the government to foster inclusivity in the educational system. This law is a crucial step in promoting a holistic, inclusive approach to education, ensuring that learners with disabilities are provided with the necessary support, resources, and environment to fully participate in educational experience. By establishing this ILCs, Republic Act 11650 ensures that children with disabilities, regardless of their background or specific needs, will have access to quality education tailored to their individual requirements. The NCDA recognizes that access to inclusive education is not only a fundamental human right, but also a key factor in empowering persons with disability to lead independent, productive lives. The establishment of ILCs will provide these learners with opportunity to thrive academically and socially while also fostering greater and understanding, tolerance, and acceptance among their peers and the broader community. As the national policy-making body responsible for advocating for the rights and welfare of persons with disabilities, the NCDA is committed to supporting the full implementation of Republic Act 11650. We call on the relevant government agencies, our member agencies, educational institutions, local government units, and stakeholders to work together in realizing the promise of inclusive education, ensuring that every learner, regardless of ability, has an equal opportunity to succeed and contribute to society. The NCD remains steadfast in its dedication to the advancement of rights and opportunities for persons with disability. We commend the passage of this pivotal law and look forward for the positive changes it will bring in the shaping of more inclusive and equitable educational landscape for all Filipinos. With respect to what NCDA has been doing from the passage of the law, we have been promoting awareness and implementation with respect to our Regional Committee on Disability Affairs and also to our Persons with Disability Affairs offices. I think the challenge with NCDA is on the coordination to the different local government units, as some of the local government units does not have PDAW offices. So ito po yung nagiging challenge po talaga namin. And with respect to the data po kanina, as of the moment, for all persons with disability, for our PRPWD, we have approximately nasa 1,888,570 po ang na-register na po sa ating PRPWD. And I think it is also safe to say din po na we had our board meeting last November 28, and the management of the PRPWD is transferred to the from DOH to the National Council on Disability Affairs. So technically po, we will be having close monitoring with respect to the learners with disabilities po. So hopefully po, yung sa transition period po, pag natapos po yon, we will be siguro mas clear po yung data na mabigay po namin. Thank you po.
Do you have any, going back to the child fine system, do you have any mechanism now to look for persons with disabilities, proactively look for persons with disabilities, including children with disabilities?
Yes, sir. Ang ginagamit po kasi talaga ngayon, Mr. Chair, is yung tinatawag natin na master list from the local government units. Yun po yung na-issuehan natin ng mga persons with disability identification cards. So as of the moment po, yun po yung kinukunan natin ng data na ina-upload po ng mga PDAW offices natin nationwide to the persons with disability, to the Philippine Registry for Persons with Disability po.
The source is from the LGU.
Yes, sir.
In other words.
It is from the LGU, sir, through the PDAW offices po.
But normally the PDAW deals with adults na eh.
Actually, sir, lahat, sir. Lahat po, sir, kasi it's the main arm or the grassroots level for the implementation of all disability laws po. So they are monitoring po lahat po ng types of disabilities and age po.
Okay, so we can use the PDAW offices to implement the child fine system. Kasi tama si Director Ariola, we will need a lot of manpower to locate children with disabilities.
Yes, sir. As of the moment, sir, yun po yung ginagamit natin na pag-monitor po sa grassroots level, yung PDAW offices.
How many LGUs have PDAW offices?
Based on Republic Act number 10070, sir, first to third class municipalities po ang mandated, and then fourth to sixth class are highly encouraged to have their focal persons. So there are, I think, sir, 715 LGUs, pero ang na-establish po na PDAW as of the moment po is less than 500 po.
Bakit ganun? Bakit hindi lahat?
Siguro po kasi ang lagi nilang sinasabi po sa LCEs po is yung sa budget po ng pag-create ng office po.
But they can have focal persons, diba? Just one person or two persons.
Meron naman po silang
mga
mga
full-blown office.
Opo, sir, pero nagkakaroon ng challenge po dun sa collection na po ng data po talaga.
Okay. No, the reason why I ask is because we will use those PDAW offices to look for children with disabilities. So it's important that we have that fully in place. No? Aside from, of course, DepEd's schools and principals, but as much as possible, we are trying to lessen the burden of the lesson of burden, giving additional work to teachers and principals. So we will need another machinery to look for children with disabilities. So not all merong PDAW and focal person.
Based dun sa 1,715 po, nasa mga approximately 1/6 po, may mga focal persons naman po.
Okay.
Ang challenge lang po talaga is during mga election time na papalitan sila, so we have to capacitate them
So out
again,
of
sir.
1,700 LGUs, how many have focal persons and offices?
Nasa mga
More or less lang.
1,600 po.
Mga 1,600.
Yes po, sir.
Okay. All right. So meron pang mga 100 plus that are not
Do not have,
operationalized.
sir, focal
Just
persons
submit
po.
to us the list so that we can
Sige, sir, we will
guided.
be submitting it to this officer.
All right. We'll call on EDCOM, Ms. Kay Anunuevo. Any comments to the implementation? Any findings from the EDCOM in regards to the implementation of the inclusive education law?
Magandang hapon, Mr. Chair and Senator De La Rosa. Unfortunately po, in terms of EDCOM 2 findings, we have yet to look into inclusive education. We were supposed to have a meeting last week, pero that didn't push through, but we will still do it po in January. However, I wanted to add po in the last basic education meeting of EDCOM 2, which happened last week, na-mention po yung IRR of RA 11650, and it was brought up na importante po talaga yung issue of data. And it was good po that Director Ariola shared the plans of DepEd in terms of the child find system and database. However, we have questions po regarding the data. So here are the questions po. What is DepEd's data governance strategy to ensure that we have accurate and up-to-date data on our learners with disabilities? Alam po natin when it comes to learners with disabilities, napakalaking issue po talaga ng accurate, reliable na data. And how will the Interagency Council ensure that yung pre-K data po natin seamlessly connects with our K-12 data? As Section 17 po of the law states, kailangan po yung mga iba't ibang LIS ng different agencies, they need to be connected. And as we know po from our work in EDCOM 2, malaking challenge po talaga for government agencies itong mga information systems. So we would like to ask DepEd if DepEd needs additional support, help. Ano po yung timeline ng DepEd in terms of the database? Kailan po, na-mention po na director yung mga milestones, pero when do we expect that to be in place? And yun nga po, paano po yung coordination with our different agencies? A few follow-up questions pa po, Mr. Chair, if you will allow, not just po on the data system, pero we also wanted to ask po on the ILRCs. Na-mention po rin ni Director Ariola how some components of the inclusive learning resource centers are difficult in terms of face difficulties in terms of funding. So ano po yung mga components na ito na nahihirapan pong i-fund ng DepEd? And pangalawa po, again, in terms of the timeline, kasi Mr. Chair emphasized the importance po of yung timeliness ng ating mga interventions. Ano po ang usual na duration ng pagka-build po ng isang ILRC? At saka yung ngayon po, conversion pa lang po, ano po yung usual na timeline ng pag-convert ng isang SPED center into an ILRC so we can anticipate po yung full implementation? Kailan po talaga mangyayari ito? So we are also, sa EDCOM po, we are also doing a lot of research into the infrastructure. Kaya po maganda pong matignan din po yung timeline. Kasi alam rin po natin na napaka-challenging rin po ang pag-build ng mga structures as of the moment. And we also wanted to ask po in terms of, last na po na ito na question, Mr. Chair, in terms of the learning materials mentioned by Director Ariola, lahat po ba ng mga materials na ito are already aligned to the new curriculum, to the Matatag curriculum? That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much po.
Thank you. Director Ayala, you want to respond to that? That's a good question in
Yeah.
sa Matatag curriculum.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chair, in terms of the accuracy of data, particularly for enrollment, we're actually working closely with the planning service. In fact, every time they conduct orientation, particularly on the utilization of the learner information system, the Bureau of Learning Delivery, specifically the Student Inclusion Division, would always be represented. If you have noted, there's already an increase actually in the enrollment for school year 2023-2024 because we really needed to guide our teachers in enrolling our learners and tag them to the exceptionality that they're supposed to be tagged. Unfortunately, we heard some information before that for those who were in the mainstream, they were no longer tagged as learners with disabilities. And so because of that information, so we needed to work with them and emphasize that even if a learner is already in the mainstream, he is still a learner with disability. So we're working closely with that of the planning service po. For the ILRC's funding po, if you have noted, when we started converting SPED centers in 2021, we're able to do it, we were able to complete it in 2022 actually. So usually it would take more than a year. For the first year, we just provided funding for the conversion for the infra, but the following year, that was the time when we provided funding also for the tools and equipment and also the supplies and materials that are needed for the ILRC. And then for 2023, some are still have yet to be completed. There are times, Mr. Chair, that our SDOs are also challenged of some procurement issues. So yun din yung nagiging concern din natin. So, and then another one as to do, I hope I was able to, and I'd like to mention that for the conversion of ILRs, it's no longer the City Strand and the Bureau of Learning Delivery that's taking care of this. It's actually given already to the School Infrastructure and Facilities Strand. But what I just learned is that even the conversion now is given to DPWH, Mr. Chair, for 2025. So DPWH will handle. What is left, I think, in DepEd. So this is what I heard. What is left only in DepEd is just the furniture. For all others, kasama na po ang ILRC to be supervised by DPWH po. In terms of learning resources, we have learning resources that are for K-12, but what we're doing now is aligning these materials to the Matatag curriculum. So we're doing some revisions in order for it to be, for these materials to be aligned with the new curriculum. And I have to mention, Mr. Chair, that we are also started for 2024, part of the projects that we have is the development of video lessons also for our deaf learners. And this will continue until 2025 po. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll go to CHED because there's also a specific mandate for CHED under the Inclusive Education Law. So, want to hear some updates from CHED? Go ahead, Mr. Reyes.
Good afternoon po, Mr. Chair, Senator Gatchalian, and this team.